What's up, YouTubers? It's Ernie, Blerd Without Fear, and today we are going to be talking about, and this is in preparation for the box office masterpiece movie, Black Panther, coming out in February. We're going to be talking about Black Panther, A Nation Under Our Feet, Book 1 by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is the beginning of a run right now that is probably the best thing in Marvel Comics right now. This is one of the few books I am buying on a regular basis with the Marvel imprint because, man, it has not been pretty. But Black Panther has been on point, and I couldn't think of a better writer to come in and handle this character. But before we jump into that, let me know what comics you'd like to see me do a video on. Sound off in the comments. If this is your first time checking out my channel, consider clicking subscribe and make sure you tap that bell button so you know when I post up. Okay, so A Nation Under Our Feet, Book 1. Let's jump right in. So this is a long-form story arc chronicling one of Black Panther's toughest moments. We haven't quite seen Black Panther struggle like he has in this book. By the time this book comes along, the status quo for T'Challa, and to maybe even a greater extent his supporting cast, has been drastically changed. First things first. Shuri, his sister, sacrificed her life to save T'Challa and fell in combat against Proxima Midnight of the Black Order during the Time Runs Out story arc. Thanks to World of Wakanda writers Roxane Gay and Yana Harvey, we see what led to Dora Milaje characters Ayo and Anika to fall out of grace with the power structure of Wakanda. Not only that, but T'Challa is out of touch with his people and his kingdom is in disarray. He's not the leader we remember from previous titles. This is a T'Challa who has been to the brink and back, and he's just lost in his way, to the point he's been making very questionable decisions, like siding with Captain Marvel during Civil War II, as well as, the events of Secret Wars, and, there's just so much stuff going on. This is not the T'Challa that we remember. And I don't mean that in a bad way. This is, we're just seeing him in a different light now. And to give you the background, there is a civil war brewing deep in the heart of Wakanda, and Black Panther finds himself, probably for the first time in quite some time, unprepared to help his people and leading from a very shaky position since his rule has been compromised. And at the heart of this turmoil in his people stands a woman named Zenzi, a strange and powerful Ugandan revolutionary who has gained the ability to bring out the rage and darkness within the hearts of men and women. Thoughts so venomous they don't even realize that they're there. And she's in league with the other Ugandans, a group that has basically been calling themselves the People. And this all kind of stems from a region of people that were once under the boot of Eric Killmonger, one of Black Panther's most iconic foes, and also will be played by Michael B. Jordan in the upcoming movie. This is all before his demise, and Zenzi is kind of the unintentional fruit of Killmonger's labor. And T'Challa knows that he can't assault this problem like any other. He's fought those who can bend the mind before. He's fought those who can manipulate another's thoughts. And he's prepared to do that again, but his people are not, and he realizes this. So he goes after Zenzi alone, tearing through the Ugandans, protecting her, and as prepared as he feels he is not ready for the power that she possesses. She basically drops him off in the sunken place. And T'Challa is faced with his fears and his shame, chief among them being Shuri and her quotey finger's death, as she mocks and beats him within his own heart. All the while, the Black Panthers of the past look on in disdain. But that's where Zenzi messed up, because she gave BP a chance to analyze and overcome her powers, realizing that in order to return from the sunken place, he can't just know that these feelings are his, but he has to accept them. And when he comes to, he realizes yet another truth, that even with this knowledge, this war will not be as simply thwarted as he thought. Now, the funny thing about all this is that this story gets even more interesting when we realize that all this time, T'Challa has been holding Shuri in secret and trying to find a way to bring her back. Like she is in a stasis, kind of left over from the results of that fight with Proxima Midnight. And she's just stuck in stasis. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. And he's trying to find that way to bring her back, and it's just nothing he is trying is working. She may just be finding her own way back from Jalea, the plane of Wakandan memory. Now, when you go see that Black Panther movie on February 16th, you will recognize Jalea because we see a glimpse of it in the trailers for Black Panther, and you will see it in the movie. It is going to be a thing, but she is kind of trapped there until she can learn the history of her ancestors and the people who came before her. She needs to acquire this knowledge so that she can save Wakanda. And this is pretty much the end of her for the rest of this book, but just know, Shuri is not quotey fingers dead. She's just on a journey of the mind and soul and heart, or whatever. Okay, so earlier I mentioned Ayo and Anika, their World of Wakanda miniseries, for a reason. The closing events of that tale that saw them fall in love with each other also saw Anika kill another Wakandan in cold blood, a chieftain who was forcing himself upon his female subjects and basically acting as a Wakandan Harvey Weinstein. For this, Anika is sentenced to prison by Ramonda, T'Challa's stepmother, and for all intents and purposes his actual mother, because his mother is dead, but she has acted as his mother since she became queen of Wakanda and marrying T'Chaka. Now, this doesn't last long because Ayo decides that love conquers all, and she goes after Anika suited up in a special Dora Milaje Midnight Angel prototype armor that seems to function in many ways like the Black Panther armor itself, and she goes to rescue Anika, effectively causing them to defect from Wakanda. And they both decide that living for the rulership of one man is no longer viable, and that change must not be asked for, it must be demanded. And they marshal their strength and go after the men who would seek to rule the women of Wakanda as slaves and begin freeing them so that they may live as they choose, even adopting the motto, "No one man," as they run roughshod through the territories of Wakanda, liberating subjugated women left and right. They even end up adopting the moniker of the Daughters. But it's not all wine and roses. While they're away liberating M'Baku's brother Mandla, who has taken up M'Baku's mantle of man-ape and wearing the man-ape armor since M'Baku's death, he ravages that land that the Daughters have now called home, leaving the women to wonder, is there safety anywhere? And now they must also ask the question, now that we have the power to punish the wicked and the guilty, can we truly protect the innocent? Which is something they really have to face down in light of this newfound development. Now, this is a question we'll soon find out if they can answer confidently. But before we do, there's a character that I haven't mentioned, and a couple of characters actually. There's a character who is a shaman by the name of Tetu. He's been masterminding this entire movement that is behind Zenzi. He wants to bring down the royal family of Wakanda and return power to the people. But he's kind of like a militant revolutionary in this regard. You see, Tetu has a very unique perspective in all this. He's not a madman. I mean, he is kind of crazy, but he is just a man who once believed in the rulership and saw it falter. He saw Namor drown the people of Wakanda during the events of Avengers versus X-Men, I believe it was, and he even bore witness to T'Challa continuing to keep peace with Namor despite his crimes against Wakanda, and still treating with the Atlanteans. He saw his queen Shuri die at the hands of the Black Order while T'Challa, quotey fingers, fled. And he's seen the Golden City erode from the inside, and he's not pleased. It's kind of refreshing to see this kind of villain because he's not your typical mustache twirler. He's a man of principles, and he wants nothing more than to save his fellow Wakandans. his methods are questionable as fuck, but still, this is something that is, even brought up when he meets with one of Coates' new characters for this story, Changamire, a philosopher, scholar, and former tutor to Queen Ramonda. And Changamire, a man thought to be a bit of a revolutionary himself, by Wakandan standards, even sees Tetu's actions as ruthless and violent, and it's the sole reason he doesn't join the people, as Tetu calls his revolution. He just kind of denounces them and turns them away. The thing that lets us know Tetu is nothing to mess with, though, is when BP blasts Zenzi with a bolt of one of his shadow physics attacks, which is like a kind of science that T'Challa himself invented. That just shows you how intelligent he is as a character and where he kind of ranks in the pantheon of great minds of the Marvel universe. He's right up there with Tony Stark and Reed Richards and Blue Marvel. The guy is no joke when it comes to matters of the mind. But he blasts her and sends her careening into a tree and leaving her incredibly unconscious. As a result of this, we see him take down Black Panther and the entire squad of the Hatut Zarazi, the once secret police of Wakanda, now turned mercenaries, or what they now call themselves, war dogs. He takes them all down without much more than a twirl of his staff. And it's not long after this we see him bring Zenzi back, presumably from the brink of death, as her crashing into that tree likely caused her some near fatal injuries, and he empowers her even further with his shamanistic magics, likely increasing her power and its range. The full extent, we really just don't know yet. Now, the whole thing starts getting pretty serious when T'Challa discovers that while they've been keeping tabs on Anika and Ayo, because remember, they got attacked by Mandala, things haven't been just simple random acts of vigilantism with them. This is a full-scale revolution, as the people close to T'Challa warned him. The daughters went back and got vengeance for what happened at their home at the hands of Mandala, and they killed him for it, branding him, likely with his own blood, no one man. Not only that, they brought more Dora Milaje to their side, strengthening their numbers into an actual fighting force. The Dora Milaje are nothing to fuck with. These are some of the toughest customers you've ever seen. Any of these women are strong enough to protect Black Panther, which is crazy when you imagine that he doesn't really need protection. But if they're skilled enough to do that, imagine what he'd have to deal with if they turned on him. And now they're reestablishing leadership, arranging elections, enforcing laws, and now the reality is sinking in for T'Challa. A fact that leads to Queen Ramonda reaching out to Changamire herself, despite T'Challa's wishes, but ultimately it winds up fruitless. She tries to reason with him because, once again, he was her tutor. They are close. They were once friends, and in some respects still are. She tries to reason with him as he protests working with them, claiming Wakandan rule, or their version of it, is a lie, and that Wakanda has all the intelligence any advanced society would want, and none of the wisdom that any free society needs. Easily one of my favorite lines in this book, and this is where it is followed by my absolute favorite line in this book, where Ramonda tells him that in all their studies together, in all they learned together, they never studied a single nation founded on truth and candor. That her teachers were all imaginative and visionary, but they dug no wells, they built no walls, and fed no children. The best of them were just men of theory. It's a powerful quote, both of these quotes, because it speaks to the gravitas of the story that Coates is trying to tell. And she leaves him to ponder his own teachings and ideals, and what she offers him, a place in the leadership of Wakanda, working alongside T'Challa to make change and address policy. And the thing is, T'Challa will need all the help he can get, because Ayo and Anika are being approached by Tetu, who wants them to combine their forces with the people. He warns them that T'Challa, for all his flaws, still has powerful friends in high places, mostly referring to Storm and Spectrum, the former Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau. But he also means the Avengers and the Ultimates, who are also at Black Panther's disposal. Fortunately for now, Ayo and Anika don't see a need to align with Tetu and the people yet. T'Challa, still displeased his stepmother went to Changamire in seek of aid, is reminded that his problems are not originated from Changamire, but the rogue Dora Milaje, Ayo and Anika, the daughters, are where the start of his problems lie. Not only that, but his problem is also with the people. She reveals that despite their disdain for one another, T'Chaka, his father, and Changamire were two sides of the same coin. They both understood aspects of what it took to rule the people, but they both missed a certain fundamental on either side of their philosophies. T'Challa can't just offer protection. He has to offer something more. And this is when T'Challa reveals something we haven't seen him muse about in quite some time, that as much as he wants to protect and save Wakanda, Wakanda is only taken from him. No matter what he's done, he's sacrificed everything and still nothing changes. Doom, Namor, Thanos, the Black Order, all of it has run him ragged for his people, even pushing him to give up the love of his life, Storm. But that is where Ramonda gives him the wisdom only a mother can. He's never given himself up freely to the people. He sees his people not as his flock to protect, but as a burden. He needs to do more than be a force for the people. He needs to inspire them. And at this time, Tetu is meeting with Zeke Stane, the son of Iron Man villain Obadiah Stane, the Ironmonger. Some of you may remember as the villain of the first Iron Man film. And Zeke points out that Tetu, for all his powers and the use of Zenzi, is still losing this revolution to T'Challa, and asks him if he's prepared for what must be done. Is he ready to get his hands not just dirty, but bloody? Tetu is not afraid of losing, though. That's not his concern, is getting his hands dirty. He's afraid of seeing what he sees as tyranny reaching out further from the Golden City than he feels it already has. And at this moment, we see whatever Tetu did to Zenzi activate, and roughly around the same time, whether connected or not, an explosion goes off right in the vicinity of T'Challa and Ramonda. Actually, several sets of explosions are going off in various places, and this is all happening while they're out amongst the people of Wakanda and meeting with their subjects, and this winds up injuring many and likely killing many more. Ramonda, being at the epicenter of one of the explosions, only narrowly surviving thanks to T'Challa's vibranium suit that he pretty much always has on, absorbing some of the blast, leaving her in a comatose state. And T'Challa at this point is pissed, and he declares war, stating that Wakanda has traded in war for generations and will not be terrorized because we are terror itself. And this is a full-on Captain America Civil War T'Challa. The BP you saw in that movie and his dedication to revenge for the death of his father, T'Chaka, that's him right there in comic book form. We haven't seen T'Challa this mad in quite some time because these attacks are coming close to his home. And that's the end of book 1. And man, I gotta admit, man, dude, this book is great, and it just keeps getting better. And I highly recommend. I actually avoided a lot of some of the other plot points. I didn't want to go too deep and explain everything because I do still want you to read this book because I think it's that good, alongside Rise of the Black Panther. And I even recommend going back and reading World of Wakanda because it is a good read. It may not be the story you want, but the tale of Ayo and Anika is a really good tale to read. I mean, it actually gives you a lot more insight to their side of things. Now, with all that being said, though, what things can we expect in book 2? Let me know what you think about Black Panther book 1 of A Nation Under Our Feet by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, click that like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure to hit subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and tap that bell button so you know when I post up. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you all next time. Plus Ultra.